Matt Steinmetz, Darryl the Guru Johnson with you. And we got a big game on Sunday between the 49ers and the Cowboys. And we've got Ryan Harris, who will be on the call. Ryan is a Westwood 1 NFL analyst. He's going to be calling the Niners-Cowboys game on Sunday night. He's a former NFL offensive lineman, Super Bowl champ with the Denver Broncos. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, man.
Great to be with you boys before a big football weekend. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting real excited out here. I mean, just give me your overview of how you, who's going to be calling this game, kind of get into this game and assess what may or may not happen.
Well, it's the biggest game of the Cowboys season so far, and also too, you got to think about what has transpired with the Cowboys. They have a brutal loss to Arizona, with Josh Dobbs throwing all over the field and James Conner running. That's going to be an issue going against Christian McCaffrey and others here that have with the 49ers. And the 49ers defense is a lot different than any defense the Cowboys have faced. And the biggest thing is you guys got to remember the 49ers have sent the Cowboys home the last 2 years in the playoffs. So Dak Prescott and these Cowboys have to get over the hump and beat one of the marquee teams in the NFC.
Ryan, let me ask you this. Just piggybacking off of that point, you are correct, and I told my partner and the fans, Dallas needs this for their psyche more than the Niners. What does that mean, in the locker room, or does that mean anything? Is it more added pressure? Like, talk to us about that just from a Niners standpoint, too, knowing we sent them home twice.
Well, for the Cowboys, it opens up a championship, a Super Bowl championship, if you can win that. And I've been there. When I was in the AFC, the year we won the Super Bowl, we had to beat the Patriots twice. You got to get your mind around beating the Patriots. It's going to be physical. It's going to be tough. They're going to give you a look you can't expect, and you have to execute in those situations. So for the Cowboys, this is so big that if they win this game, they can legitimately feel like they can win a Super Bowl. And for the 49ers, you have to continue to prove your dominance. But the thing I love about the 49ers, watching them on film, seeing what they've done, it doesn't matter what opponent they're going against. They're playing their game, and that's where the elite production comes in. And for the 49ers, yes, you had the injuries to Brock Purdy. Who knows what happens last year if you're not on your third quarterback, and then back to your first who can't throw the football. But you got to establish, if you're the 49ers, that this is your conference, not just division in the NFC West, but you are the NFC champion. And you're going to continue to put pressure on people and set the bar for what it's going to take to win.
Ryan Harris joining us on 95.7 The Game, a former offensive lineman for Denver. Hey, so I'm going to assume you beat the Patriots in the regular season, then you beat them again in the playoffs, right?
Yep, the first team to ever do it in the Belichick era. You're welcome.
Okay. Well done. Well done. Now, here's my question. Is there any way in hindsight to look back and figure out how important that first game was to winning the second game?
Say it one more time.
Is there any way in hindsight to look back at those two wins over the Patriots and define how important it was to win the first game so you could win the second?
Oh, because you got to see it on film. You have to see yourself being successful on film. And you can always lose a game in the first game and say, okay, well, we're going to be better here in the second game, and we're going to anticipate that, and that's not going to happen in the second game, right? Because teams understand not only what you're trying to do, but think about just the calls that they hear. If you're on offense and the defense, your opposing defense hears all the calls. You got to change the name, the verbiage, all these things. But the most important thing is to see yourself successful on film. And when I look at the Cowboys, what really needs to happen, the offensive line has to see themselves being successful against Bosa and others on film. And you also have to have people be successful in terms of how they run the football. This is a huge game for Tony Pollard. It's going to be huge for him to see himself successful against this 49ers defense.
Ryan, I guess the easiest way for me to ask the question is, do you think you beat the Patriots in the playoffs had you not beaten them in the regular season?
Of course. I mean, I'm going to say of course. But,
right.
You need that confidence. And it's not just in the game. It's also how you prepare. Are you preparing because you know you can beat this team? Or are you preparing hoping you can beat this team? And a lot of hope to beat the 49ers. And they've got, like a 6-game streak of scoring 30 points or more. I mean, come on. You can't go in there with hope. You got to have belief. And it starts this weekend for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Ron, I can feel your energy. You're dialed in. And I have my answer, but before I give it, I want to hear yours to this question. Who's this game bigger for, Dak or Brock Purdy?
Dak, 100%. But Brock Purdy's already broke the ceiling. I mean, come on. He's Mr. Irrelevant winning playoff games. Get out of here. Dak Prescott, he comes off a huge game, beating the Patriots by the most that a Bill Belichick team has ever lost by in the regular season. That's big. And we've seen big games from Dak. We haven't seen two big games in a row from Dak. And one of the things watching the film, when Dak Prescott starts pulling up the ball on run plays and throwing it outside for a 3-yard gain, it really stops the offense. Dak Prescott has to stay within the scheme, believe in the plays, and let his playmakers make plays. I mean, you talk about Brock Purdy, that's what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
What's Brock Purdy really have to do? He's handing off to Deebo Samuels, throwing to George Kittle, or he's handing it off to Christian McCaffrey, right? So you have to let the other players win the game with you, and that's the next step for Dak Prescott. And if he can do that on the road in Santa Clara, that's going to be huge for not only him, his career, but also his leadership moving forward for the rest of the year.
You're listening to Ryan Harris. He's going to be on the call for Westwood 1 on Sunday. He's got the Niners-Cowboys game. As a former offensive lineman, I'd love to ask you this question. So Nick Bosa's only got 1 sack this year. I don't know that people are worried, but he's off to a slow start. And I kind of always tell my partner, even though I've never played football, that I think you can take a guy out of a game if you really, really concentrate on him, but that will open up other things. Is that too simplistic? I mean, can you really sacrifice to handle one guy and be willing to live with the repercussions of all the others?
Yes, you can, and the 49ers are bigger than Nick Bosa. Now, what you can do is use formations, something that Dallas hasn't done as much as the 49ers. Like the 49ers, I believe, lead the league. About 82% of their plays have at least one piece of motion, many times two. So that gets defensive players looking around. They're asking questions. But when it comes to stopping Nick Bosa, you got to pick your spots to let your linemen be one-on-one. You can't go into a game, and some coaches do, like, hey, you got to win one-on-one all day against Nick Bosa. That's a long day. It's like giving a boxer, 4 rounds to figure out your favorite punch and to counter it. So you can't just leave a tackle on an island and allow that to happen. Now, San Francisco does have a struggle there at right tackle. He's a new guy playing there, but he's not as good as Trent Williams and others. So that right side of the offensive line, if there is a weakness, is at right tackle, which is going to play well for Nick Bosa. But I'll tell you something, that he really has an opportunity, Nick Bosa, to have 2-3 sacks in a series. So Cowboys have to pay attention to him, and they have to pick their spots where they're leaving him isolated with their tackle.
Ryan, you played the game. I hope I don't sound soft. If I do, I can handle it. But my partner came in yesterday, and he was talking about Brock Purdy, his usage rate. It was like damn near 50%. And you got Deebo, Ayuk, and Kittle. We've seen Rodgers go down, Chubb, Trayvon Diggs, and I know it can happen on any play. As you know, when you see that usage rate for McCaffrey, do your eyebrows raise a little bit like, Kyle, you're going to the well too often? Or this is football, man. The chips are going to fall where they may.
This is football, and I'm not concerned specifically because of Kyle Shanahan. I played for his father, Mike Shanahan, won a Super Bowl under Gary Kubiak in that West Coast offense. And those coaches, more than the Parcells tree, they focus on player health. So the usage rate may be high in the game, but I guarantee you Christian McCaffrey's usage rate isn't the same in practice. And Kyle Shanahan also knows you have to set a standard earlier in the season. You have to show guys what it's going to look like when you're playing. Is Deebo Samuel or George Kittle or Christian McCaffrey going to miss a game here or there down the stretch? Probably, right? And hopefully, if you win enough early in the season, you can rest those guys week 17 in the NFL. But you have to make sure your players understand the intensity, the focus, and the plays that you are going to call to be successful, and that they get comfortable performing at an elite level before you start worrying about rest. But a guy like Christian McCaffrey, he's probably taken anywhere from 5 to 10 reps in practice on Wednesday, maybe going to 15 on Thursday, and then Friday is a walkthrough. So, I mean, I'm not concerned about that usage rate with Christian McCaffrey. And you got to remember, Christian McCaffrey has waited for this moment his entire career. He came to San Francisco to win a championship through that trade, and he's playing with the urgency of a Hall of Famer who knows he has a closing window to win one.
Man, Ryan, you got me ready. I wish the game was tonight. Let me ask you this. Give us a score, because I told my partner I don't give Dallas a chance because of what you mentioned, the trenches. Their O-line is Tyron Smith. They don't know what's going on. Bosa, from a sack standpoint, has been relatively quiet. This is a stage. I just think that's what wins them this game. Give us a score.
I got 27-24 San Francisco. I just think they're too tough to beat. They're so incredibly physical. They highlight in practice during the week physical plays that players make, not only in games but in practices. They do it for offense, too. They promote the offense physicality. This 49ers team, they don't care who you are. They're here to rip your face mask off. I just think that's a tough team to beat at home. And the other thing people miss, the snap count is in play for San Francisco, and West Coast offenses love to use multiple snap counts. You do that against a defense that can never time up their rush, that can never time up their blitz. I think it's going to be 27-24 San Francisco.
Hey, Ryan, thank you so
Good
much
stuff,
for joining us, man. Great stuff. Have a great call on Sunday, and enjoy your time in the Bay.
Thanks so much, guys, and go Irish.
All right.
Oh, look at him. Notre Dame.
Whoa. All right. All right.
He threw it in there.
Oh, it's a good thing I didn't know that early.
We could have asked him about
the Buckeye
10
talk.
guys on defense.